Good morning, everybody. How are y'all doing this morning? Let's turn that down so y'all can hear me. How's everybody doing this morning? It is just past the 6 o'clock hour. We are right at the midpoint here, 6:33. It is great to see you, even digitally, this morning. And today we're going to talk about a very important skill. And this is, again, a part of our habit building process. And I want to welcome you back to the Drive Tribe, where we care about you. We want you to grow. We want you to build upon the skills as we go, and we want to build better habits. My doctor told me this week he doesn't believe that you can stop a habit or start a habit. You just replace habits you already have with new ones. So let's try to replace those with good habits. And today we're going to talk about one that is very dear to my heart and one I probably need to learn very quickly. And it's not one that you can start next week, James and Janie. It's one we need to start practicing today if we can. Just kidding. That's a shout out to our procrastination lesson we had last week. This week we're going to learn about listening. And the thing is, you probably have done this, because I know I have, where you just wait for your turn to talk in a conversation. And that is not what listening is. It's not just waiting for your turn to talk. Listening, believe it or not, is not a passive skill, it's an active skill. And it is one that takes patience, it takes time, and it takes practice to develop. So, if you want to watch a team fall apart, don't practice active listening. If you want to watch a team grow, thrive, and be more productive, practice active listening. So let's not be that person anymore. All right, here is a story about a lady named Lisa. This is a fictitious lady. This is not anybody that I know named Lisa. I have friends named Lisa, so don't think this is me talking about you. This is just a fictitious story that gives you an example of what can happen when you're not actively listening. So Lisa ran a fast-growing team. It was smart people. They had great ideas. But in meetings, it was absolute chaos. Everybody was talking over each other. No one felt heard. And that led to a very disorganized and disjointed conversation. Nothing got solved. Nothing got done because everybody was just waiting for their turn to talk. So what did Lisa try to fix this? She tried a very radical idea, one that I'm not very good at, which is silence. So we just tested it there. She gave every person 2 uninterrupted minutes to speak and then waited before anyone could respond. At first, it was, of course, awkward, and then it became like magic. The ideas got cleaner and clearer, decisions got made faster, and the tension dropped. We've all seen this demonstrated in every one of the goofy, crazy movies that we've watched. The Spirit Stick, and I think it may have been Bring It On. There was the pitch whistle or whatever it was in Pitch Perfect. There's the, the talking stick in, what was that movie with, was it Zachary Top? No, Jonathan Taylor Thomas? It was something about Stepdad or whatever. He played with Chevy Chase. It was a Disney Channel movie. Can't remember the name of it, but it's a very good movie. In there, they go jokingly to these essentially a pretend version of the Cub Scouts, and they have the talking stick and they have to pass it around, and it gave an opportunity for the stepdad or potential stepdad to talk to the son, and they got to know each other, even though it started out as like, hey, I just want to torture this guy type of thing. So again, what makes us a better listener? And here's how we become a better listener. Don't interrupt. Wait until they're done. Don't just mimic what they heard or shake your head or parrot back the last line. You want to mirror back what you heard. What I think I'm hearing you say is that correct? Okay. And then you want to ask a follow-up question. Make it one. Don't want to try to make a point. You want to ask kind of a follow-up question, something like, okay, so when that happened, what were you thinking? Or how did that make you feel? Or where did it go from there? Or, and what did she say? Or what did he say? And then be present. Again, you don't want a phone on the table. We joked about this at dinner for Father's Day with my in-laws, and I should call them in love because they were a second family, my second family. And but no phone, no tabs, no inner monologue. You don't want to just keep track of what you're, going to say next or anything like that. That's how you kind of parse it down to where you're actively listening. And we're going to go through some, studies that show this. But one of the things we're doing at Southwire is there's a gentleman named Dr. Robbins, Dr. Steve Robbins. He's from Michigan State. And he does a series on or talks about the hero skills, humility, empathy. Those things are very important in bringing a group together. And using those skills, you can ultimately help people to feel safe, to have a conversation, and to open up. And then the ideas that they have, because we're smarter as a group than we are as an individual, then those ideas are able to come out, blossom, and be heard. So with that, let's transition to the verse of the day for a second, and then we're going to go through some practical things and give you some steps on how to get these things done. So the verse of the day is from James 1:19. Y'all probably saw this coming. Everybody should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And while the context of this may not be specific to you, there is a life lesson in here, and you can take this and you can apply it to your life. Being angry, as we all know, does not lead to good or rational decisions. Being emotional, also, the first response is not always the best response. We have to kind of turn off our primitive brain and make a rational, logical, and sometimes appealing to emotional response, as opposed to that immediate knee-jerk reaction we want to have. So I am guilty of this as anybody, of playing out the conversation before it happens and anticipating the worst, and then having all the check boxes I'm going to go through once that worst conversation happens. That's a dangerous game because you don't know where the conversation is going to go. You just need to let it go where it goes. You don't need to pre-fight the battle. You should certainly have thought about the situation or the ideas or the thoughts or whatever, but don't read into what the other person's going to do. You don't have to do that. You can anticipate without doing all of that. And then second to that is having a second conversation in my mind versus just having the conversation with them after the fact. So don't be afraid to just actually have a conversation. It's okay. So let's talk about how and why those things matter. So first of all, let's go to some studies, because I've been doing this lately. It's like, hey, I want to bring this back to science. Like, what's the science say here? So there have been a few studies on listening that ChatGPT brought up for me, and I do like to use AI to try to go query and find information for us. The first one was active listening and empathy. It was a study by Weger et al. The relative effectiveness of active listening in initial interactions. The findings were that active listening, like paraphrasing, nodding and eye contact, those sorts of things, made participants feel more understood, valued, and connected. And the takeaway from the study was that listening is more than hearing, and it is responding with cues matters. So being able to respond actively to what the actual conversation is helps to further the conversation and gets to a deeper place of understanding and connection. The neuroscience of listening, this is from a 2012 study. That first one was 2014. This one's from Zaki and Oshner. The neuroscience of empathy. The brain activates mirror neurons during empathetic listening, syncing the listener's and speaker's emotional states. And so this takeaway was that genuine listening actually creates a neural connection so that people can recognize you in future conversations and the feelings that you made them feel and the feelings that they'll make you feel. So having those steps to be empathetic in your listening, responding to further the conversation, not just, hey, I'm responding because I want to tell my tale or tell my story, allows them to then open up and again feel understood, valued, and connected. But this study shows that it actually rewrites neural pathways in order to do that and create some neural connections. And the third one was listening and leadership. This one was Kluger and Ichkoff, and it's from 2021. The Power of Listening at Work is the name of the study. The findings were that when managers listen well, employees feel safe, more engaged, and less defensive, even during critical feedback. Because the takeaway is listening boosts performance and trust in the workplace environment. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these. I'll go through one more, 4, which is listening versus speaking in relationships. The study is from Rice and Shaver, and this one's from 1988, so a very old one, or old, not very old, but older one. And it talks about intimacy as an interpersonal process. So the findings were that listening attentively deepens emotional intimacy more than talking. The takeaway were that people want to be heard more than they want advice. I think any couple can speak to that, right? Is that you don't always you don't always want advice. Sometimes you just want to be heard. And sometimes you're just working things out in your own brain, and having your partner be there to talk it through without judgment or whatever allows you to work those things out in real time. The bottom line here is that listening isn't passive. It's a skill that changes the brain chemistry, builds trust, and improves outcomes across personal and professional relationships. Most people think they're good listeners, but most people are wrong. And so here is how you change that. And that's something we put in the description there. The practical listening habits that actually work. Shut up and square up. What do I mean by that? Don't mean to be rude to you, but be quiet. In order to listen, you have to turn off your mouth. But you also should square up. Face the person. Do not multitask. And do not interrupt, not even to agree. This will help create psychological safety. They'll talk more, their defense will drop, and they will open up faster. If you just want to know the tea, you don't need to ask the question. Just nod, eye contact, be looking at them, put your phone away. You might even turn your screens off if you're having a real conversation in your work so that you don't get distracted by notifications or other things, especially if it's an important conversation. Square up. Be face to face. Don't try to multitask while you're doing it. And number 2, mirror, don't mimic. So paraphrase things like what we said earlier. So you're saying, or it sounds like you felt, and then match the tone, not just the words. If they're calm, be calm. A calm voice equals a calm reply. If they're mad, you can lower the energy by having a calm voice and a calm reply. And these things, when you don't just mimic but mirror, it signals a deep understanding and people feel heard, not handled. Now, look, I've been in some meetings where you did have to handle certain situations, but a lot of times they just want to feel heard. So don't rush things. Number 3, name the feeling. Call out their emotional state. If they're feeling frustrated, it sounds like that was pretty frustrating. You seem unsure about this decision. Don't fix it. You don't need to fix it. Just name it. Why? Because it engages empathy centers for them, And it gets you into an emotional alignment where they're going, oh, okay, they hear me. They understand what I'm going through here. They're on this journey with me through these emotional feelings. You don't have to fix them. Just name them. And then in number 4, wait 3 seconds. This is from corporate coaching practices backed by listening research. But wait 3 seconds. After they finish talking, count to 3 before responding. Do it in your head. Don't do it out loud. But let them feel the silence. Why it works? People often reveal more when you don't jump in, and you learn twice as much with half the effort. So it's really about optimizing the time that you have with people. Let them fill it in. They may not be done. On 5, ask open-ended short questions. Like, what was that like for you? How did that affect you? What did you do then? What happened next? Avoiding why in the beginning, because it might trigger defensiveness. When you ask somebody why, they immediately get that, why did you do that? No, say, what was that like for you? And how did it affect you? It works because it keeps the focus on their story and not your curiosity or judgment. Now, you should be curious. Yes, because that's important. More curious, less judgmental. However, you want to keep the focus on their story. Let them tell the story. Drop your agenda. That's number 6. Don't plan your response while they're talking. Suspend the fixing, persuading, or relating. You don't need to interrupt them to tell your story. Okay, people feel heard when they don't feel handled. Listening changes minds better than arguing. They may find a flaw in their own logic if you'll just listen to them. And then finally, track, don't stack. Track, don't stack. Communication, this comes from a communication coaching principle, but if they bring up multiple things, pick one and reflect back. Don't pile on your own stories. Don't jump topic to topic. You want to track with them, not just wait your turn, and you want to pick a thread and stick with it. If they want to change the thread, let them do that. And some things you can stop doing. Those are some things you can do. Stop saying, I know exactly how you feel. I promise you, you don't. They're going through something. Each one of us has our own experiences. And even if we've went through it, we don't feel the same way in those moments. So what you want to do is, how did that make you feel? You want to find out information from them. Let them tell their story. Let them describe, and their feelings are going to be valid because they're going through it. And then you build from there. And don't give advice too early. If they want advice, fair. If they ask you to give some advice, sure. But let them tell their whole story. And also don't start telling your own similar story right away. If they want you to, there'll be an opportunity for that. But let them finish the conversation. And unlike Anna, you don't want to finish each other's sandwiches or each other's sentences when you're trying to actively listen. And don't assume that you get it before they're completely finished. Let them finish their story. That is what's important. Now, I'll post all this. I've put that information inside the description, but this is how we actively listen, right? Is we engage, we get face-to-face. I'll tell you this, in the Teams world, where it's easy to be off camera, I know it doesn't make you comfortable, and none of us like seeing ourselves on camera. I don't like it either. Turn on your camera. You want to feel the pressure of looking in the camera, and you want them to be engaged with you, and seeing your mouth move and your face there helps them stay engaged with you in the conversation. Okay? It is important that you create these connections, because these connections lead to better ideas, better decisions, and better thoughts. In addition to, we're all here to work with each other. We're all people. And the way we all want to feel heard, want to feel seen, want to be part of the conversation. So actively listen, and you can help somebody feel that way. Okay, and that is it for the day. I didn't mean to get too preachy there at the end, but I'm just telling you, this skill, if you can master it, You will make so many more connections. People will think you are the greatest person in the room. They'll love you because you will show how much you care, and you don't have to carry the conversation. Their stories matter and they want to tell you. So let them. I love you guys. I want you to continue to be successful. This is the H2 Show Studio. This is where we come in here and encourage you for the day. I want to give you some really practical life skills that help you build towards being a better leader, better person. Know that God loves you, that I love you, and I want you to continue to succeed. But